Most tasks don't feel hard because they're hard. They feel hard because they're vague. You sit down to work and your brain sees something like, study for exams, work on my business, write the script, get in shape, fix my life, be productive. And your brain does what it always does with vague threats. It freezes. It procrastinates. It seeks an escape. Because vagueness feels like danger. Not logical danger, psychological danger. Vague tasks create uncertainty. Uncertainty creates stress. Stress creates avoidance. That's why you can want something badly and still not start. It's not always lack of discipline, it's lack of clarity. High performers don't magically have more willpower. They define the first step so clearly that the brain stops treating the task like a monster. In this video, I'll show you the 5 reasons vagueness makes work feel heavy, and the simple first step method that makes almost any task feel easier instantly. Chapter 1. Your brain can't start what it can't see. Your brain is not a motivation machine, it's a prediction machine. Before you act, it tries to predict what will happen. How hard will this be? How long will it take? Where do I begin? What if I fail? What if it's messy? What if I waste time? If the task is vague, those predictions are worst case. Your brain fills in uncertainty with threat, so the task feels heavier than it is. This is why big life goals often create paralysis. Not because you're weak, because your brain can't see a path. And when the brain can't see a path, it chooses safety. Scroll, snack, clean, plan, research, anything that feels certain. Clarity is not optional. Clarity is the doorway to action. Chapter 2. Vague tasks create decision overload before you even start. When a task is vague, your brain has to make too many decisions up front. If you say, study biology, your brain must decide which chapter, which topic, which method, how long, which questions, what order, what counts as done. That's too many choices. Choice overload creates delay. The brain doesn't say too many choices. It says, I don't feel like it. But the real cause is cognitive load. High performers remove choices early. They decide the entry point before they sit down. So the start is frictionless. The mistake most people make is trying to decide what to do while already resisting the task. That is the worst moment to plan. Plan when calm. Execute when resistance shows up. The tool that bridges those states is the first step. Chapter 3. Your first step must be smaller than your resistance. This is the rule. If the first step is bigger than your resistance, you won't start. Most people choose a first step that's too large. Write the introduction. Read the whole chapter. Do the full workout. Finish the report. That's not a first step, that's a first demand. A real first step is almost laughably small. Open the document, write the title, write 3 bullet points, read 1 page, answer 1 question, put on the gym shoes, set a 10-minute timer, clean 1 surface. Why does small work? Because small steps reduce threat. Reduced threat reduces avoidance. Reduced avoidance makes starting possible. Your goal is not to finish the entire task in the first minute. Your goal is to create motion. Motion creates clarity, clarity creates momentum. Most people try to use motivation to create motion. High performers use motion to create motivation. Chapter 4. The first step is a design problem, not a personality problem. People blame themselves for not starting. But starting is often not about character, it's about design. If your environment makes the first step unclear, you will hesitate. If your tools aren't ready, you will delay. If you have to set up everything each time, you will resist. If you don't know what done looks like, you will drift. High performers solve this by building a starting ramp. A starting ramp is a prepared setup that makes the first action obvious. Examples: for studying, book already open to the page, timer ready, first question written down. Recall sheet ready for writing. Doc open. Outline template visible, first 3 bullets prepared for fitness, clothes laid out, workout. Written shoes by the door for deep work, phone away, tabs closed, next action on a sticky note. This isn't discipline. This is engineering. When the start is engineered, consistency rises without drama. Chapter 5. You need a definition of done to prevent drifting. Even if you start, vague tasks cause another problem. You drift. You switch tasks. You overthink. You research too much. You clean the edges. You never feel finished. That happens because you don't know what success looks like for this session. High performers define a small done target, not the full goal, the session goal. For example, 2 recall blocks completed, 10 practice problems, 1 outline plus first paragraph, 30 minutes of uninterrupted focus, 1 debrief written. This creates a finish line. Finish lines create satisfaction. Satisfaction creates a reward. Reward makes it easier to start next time. If you never finish, your brain never gets closure. No closure means no reward. No reward means more resistance tomorrow. So clarity must include a first step and a finish line. Now here's the method you can use today for any task. The first step method, 60 seconds. Step 1, write the task in one sentence. Not a life goal, a real task. Step 2, ask, what would this look like if it were easy? Reduce it. Step 3, define the smallest visible action. Something you can do in under 60 seconds. Step 4, define a small finish line for this session. One measurable outcome. Step 5, remove one friction point. Phone away, tools ready, tab closed, timer set, then start. That's it. And you'll notice something immediately. The task doesn't feel easy in the motivational sense. It feels clear, and clarity makes work lighter. Not because you became stronger, but because the work became visible. Let's recap before you try to brute force vagueness again. Tasks feel hard because they're vague. Vagueness creates uncertainty. Uncertainty creates avoidance. The fix is defining a first step smaller than your resistance. Engineering a starting ramp. And setting a small definition of done so you don't drift. This is great news, because it means productivity is not just personality. It's design, and design is controllable. Define the first step, make it small, make it obvious, make it easy to begin. Then let momentum do what motivation can't. But here's the thing though, even with clear first steps, people still lose progress when they don't know what to do after they finish. They end a session and forget the next move. That's why the next video is how high performers keep momentum alive. The 2-minute shutdown ritual that makes tomorrow easier.